May 4th, 1945, Hitler is dead, but the war isn't. You know? Andreas. Trio Krobot pedals through the heart of a village where 3 corpses hang from lampposts. The wind sways their bodies, and around their necks are signs that read *Kuord. Traitor. Defeatist. Krobot keeps his eyes down as he passes. His legs burn, but he doesn't stop. Every pedal feels like a prayer. He's an electrician, a man of the Austrian resistance. For the past 2 years, he's been cutting telephone lines, hiding people, and delivering secret messages. But today his mission is the most dangerous of all. To ride 20 miles through SS territory, reach the Americans and bring them back to Castle Itter, before the SS kills everyone inside. On the way, an SS patrol stops him, a young soldier, about 17 years old, eyes filled with both fear and pride. "Where are you going?" he asks. "Home," Krobot lies. "The telephone lines are down. My mother thinks I'm dead." The boy stares for a moment, then waves him off. "Go." Krobot pushes forward. Behind him lie fallen Nazi posters, burning flags, and a country that has turned into nothing but a ghost, filled with fear. Everywhere is chaos. Wehrmacht soldiers throw away their uniforms and run, while American tanks roll into villages where white sheets hang from every window. But some still refuse to surrender, the SS. They still believe the war isn't over. They're still hunting traitors and searching for the French prisoners locked inside an old fortress. Castle Itter, At that very moment, another man stands atop the castle tower, Major Josef Gangl. Gangl, 43 years old, a decorated Wehrmacht officer, hero of the Iron Cross First Class. He's seen war, and he's fought it, but now he's made another decision to save his soul. That morning his commander had left saying, "Hitler's dead. The war is over. Anyone who wants to go home, go." Most of them left. But Gangl stayed with only 6 men. Why? Because beneath the castle are 14 people. France's most important men, a general, a prime minister, a tennis champion. Now they're all waiting for death. Gangl knows the SS is coming. A unit filled with those who refuse to surrender, carrying orders to kill the prisoners so no witnesses remain. A young soldier, Edward Viter, climbs up to the tower. "Major," he says, "the prisoners are asking, is help coming?" Gangl stares at the empty road. "I sent Andreas Krobot," he says. "Andreas Krobot," he says. If he's alive, if he found the Americans, if they believed him, he stops. Too many asterisk. Ifs? Yeah. "And if they don't come?" Viter asks. Gangl looks at the young man, only 19 years old, who could have fled home, but instead chose to stay and die for his enemies. Gangl replies, "No. Then we fight, because we are German soldiers. Once, that used to mean something. Maybe it still does." Kufstein, evening, an American camp. Captain John C. Jack Lee Jr. Sits exhausted inside a tent. 27 years old, commander of the 12th Armored Division. For 3 days he's been liberating small villages, where every man swears, "We were never Nazis." Lee is tired. With every fallen soldier, he wants only one thing, to go home. Then a man stumbles inside, Andreas Krobot, soaked in sweat, barely breathing. After 6 hours of crossing SS territory, he can only manage to say, "Yo, Castle. French prisoners, SS coming. A German major wants your help. He wants to fight the SS." Lee stares. A German officer wanting to fight alongside Americans against the SS? It sounds insane, but Krobot's eyes aren't lying. Lieutenant Harry Bassis says, "Sir, this is madness. But if it's true, and we don't go, we'll regret it for the rest of our lives." Lee slowly nods, mount up, staff the spur for a calf. We're going to meet a German major, and so begins one of the strangest battles of the war, asterisk. Americans and Germans fighting side by side against the SS. It is 11 o'clock at night. In a small Austrian village, Wurgl, inside an old resistance safe house, two men stand facing each other. On one side, Captain Jack Lee in an American uniform, with both fatigue and conviction in his eyes. On the other side, Major Josef Gangl in a German uniform, his chest decorated with the Iron Cross. Both have placed their weapons on the floor, yet the shadow of war still hangs between them. Krobot stands between them as a translator. A bridge that might turn enemies into allies. Lee says, "Tell me about the castle." Krobot translates. Gangl unfolds an old map and spreads it across the table. His hands are utterly calm. The hands of a man who has seen everything. Castle Itter, built in 1241. Stone walls, 3 foot thick. Only a single road winds up to it. Excellent for defense, but a dream for artillery. Lee leans forward. How many men? Only 6 with me. 6 Wehrmacht soldiers. We are no longer just soldiers. We are trying to be human, Lee asks. And the SS? Gangl's face hardens. The Waffen SS? Remnants of the 17th Division. Mostly boys of 16 to 18 years old, and some older men. Fanatics between 150 and 200 strong. Their orders are to kill the prisoners before Germany surrenders. Lee takes a deep breath. 14 prisoners, 1 tank, and 20 Germans versus about 200 SS soldiers. This mid-mission looks like suicide, his executive officer says. Lee replies quietly. Still, we will go. Gangl looks at him. And if we die? Lee answers, then at least we will not die on the wrong side. A faint smile passes between them. The first and possibly the last drink. Before dawn, both forces move out. An old Sherman tank, which they have named Besotten Jenny, rumbles forward, its engine growling, followed by only 14 Americans and 7 Germans. Gangl rides in a jeep, Lee sits atop the tank. The air smells of ice. One question fills both their hearts. Will they make it? Burned houses line the road, broken telephone poles, and the smell of gunpowder in the air. At one turn, an SS patrol appears. Lee raises his hand. Everyone holds. A short firefight finishes in seconds. 2 SS men are dead, and Lee's driver is lightly wounded. Gangl climbs down and picks up one young soldier's helmet. A swastika is stamped on it. He quietly buries it in the dirt. This is our true burial ground, he says. Castle Itter appears from afar, perched on a hill, wrapped in snow looking like a story. Inside, the 14 French prisoners are restless. From below, they hear the sound of an engine first. Americans! Someone shouts. They run to the windows, joy, disbelief, and a little fear in their faces. Gangl and Lee arrive at the castle gate. On the wall, French General Vong waits to greet them. Enfin, he says. France still lives. Gangl salutes him, General. Today we will fight for you, despite being Germans. Vong's eyes fill with tears. Then today Europe changes for real, he says. Zeka. Lee gives his orders. The Sherman is positioned in front of the gate. Machine guns are set on the walls. The French prisoners, politicians, generals, and even a tennis champion take up rifles. An elderly politician steadies his rifle and says, I never imagined I would fight alongside a German. Gangl smiles. Nor did I. But we fight for one thing, humanity first came. Evening falls. SS trucks halt below the mountain. Approximately 200 men in black uniforms look toward the fortress. Their faces show a single intent, to finish them all. Inside Castle Itter, Americans, Germans, and French stand together. In a line, united on a single mission. Lee checks his rifle. Gangl comes beside him and says, Captain, our countries are enemies now. But if we win here, Perhaps a new Europe will begin. Lee looks at him. Then we will win this war. They clasp hands. A little while later, the first shots ring out over Castle Itter's sky. A battle like no other, where America and Germany stand together. Against the SS, when night fell, fog rolled over the mountains. The air was silent, yet within that silence echoed the pulse of fear. American and German soldiers sat together inside a single tent. Outside, only the soft footsteps of sentries broke the stillness. Captain Redman, commander of the American unit, bent over his map in deep thought. On the other side, Lieutenant Berger, a Wehrmacht officer, sat quietly, a cigarette trembling between his fingers. We were enemies," Redman said softly. "And maybe we will be again by morning, but not tonight." Berger looked up at him, a faint, bitter smile crossing his face. "Tonight we're just men trying to stay alive, not soldiers." Between them had formed that fragile bridge humanity builds, when war has taken everything else away. Suddenly the tent flap moved. A young soldier entered, his face pale with fear. "Sir, SS troops have reached the lower valley." About 30 of them, everyone's hearts froze. They knew the SS never left prisoners alive, not even Germans. Redman placed his rifle on the table. "We'll fight together," no one disagreed. In that moment, their uniforms vanished. Only human beings remained. With the first light of dawn, gunfire thundered through the valley. SS soldiers attacked from behind the trees, but Americans and Germans fought side by side to hold them back. For a moment, history itself seemed to pause, and amid the chaos of war, an impossible alliance was born. Lieutenant Berger dragged a wounded American soldier behind cover. "You'll make it, comrade!" Redman fired a shot and shouted to assure. "All men." Fired a shot and shouted, "No nations today, only men!" After hours of fierce battle, the SS began to retreat, but the cost was heavy. Many on both sides had fallen. When the smoke cleared, the ground was strewn with men who had, for one night, forgotten their enmity. Berger was breathing hard. He staggered toward Redman, wounded but smiling. "Maybe we changed history today, Captain." Redman nodded, looking toward the sky. "No, Berger. We just reminded humanity that it's still alive." Silence returned to the mountains, but the story of that night lived on. Whenever soldiers spoke of war, some would fall quiet, remembering the night when even enemies became brothers.